What's the best possible way for you to like trade out of your car and get rid of all of your negative equity? I know it can be frustrating for a lot of folks, but if they're upside down and they're trying to trade out and the dealers are just like, nah, you can't do it, you got to do this, you got to do that. But there is a secret to getting rid of your negative equity.
All right, so I know you're here because you have negative equity in your vehicle and you don't know what to do with it. I have seen so many people currently on social media who are in this predicament, so you are not alone. I have compiled a ton of videos for you explaining the process, what you need to do to get out of your current vehicle and get into your next vehicle at a much lower price. So continue watching. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section.
If you have negative equity on your car note in 2026, I know your pain, but I also know your solution. One mistake that you need to avoid when you are in a negative equity position is stacking that negative equity. Exactly what I mean by that is being $4,000 negative equity and then not willing to put down the money down to even it out, and then you just roll that $4,000 into the next car. Although the bank might be willing to finance it, you're still financing more than what the car is even worth. So with all that being said, this is what you should look for if you're trying to get rid of your negative equity. The two major things that are important is when you're going to buy and what you're going to buy. When you're going to buy is important because there are incentives and rebates every single month coming out from the manufacturer. But your goal is to eliminate the negative equity completely. But how do you do that? You're going to find something with crazy lease rebates and you're going to roll your negative equity on top of that. For example, 2025 Broncos Sports have great lease rebates because they're pushing them. They want people to lease them. The reason why you should take this approach to completely get rid of your negative equity is because when you lease, your payments are going on top of what you're paying for the lease. And so by the time the lease is over, you're not tied to any of the negative equity.
Hey, bad news, boss, man. You're pretty upside down. You got about $7,000 in negative equity on this car.
Okay, so why don't we look into a lease?
A lease? Why?
Yeah, because I can roll my negative equity into a lease. I follow Russ Flips Whips, and he said that if I find a car that has a ton of discounts and rebates and I want to get rid of my negative equity, all I have to do is roll that into a lease, and then at the end of the lease, I'll have no negative equity, and I can walk away from the vehicle and start from scratch. So I want to look at some leases. I saw you have some cars with some big discounts and incentives. So can you have your manager work me up on price? Just like, I don't even care what the car is, just the one with the biggest discounts and the biggest rebates, because I'm so done with my car. I need to get rid of that negative equity.
Dude, I never even thought of something like that. Let me go talk to my manager.
Yeah, go talk to him.
Great news. I talked to my manager. He actually told me that you were right. I mean, the rebates took away your negative equity, and you're good to go.
Yeah, perfect. No, I'll take it right now, man.
Awesome. Congratulations. Now, I'm pretty new here. Could you explain this to me?
Yeah, of course. So, look, here's the price of the car. Since it's a 2023, you guys are discounting at $3,500, and there's $4,750 in rebates. So over $8,000 off, and I only have $7,000 of negative equity. So I pay $650 a month right now. So for $699 plus tax, I'm able to lease a brand new car under warranty. My trade-in's out of warranty. It was a terrible mistake. I rolled negative equity from the last car, and I was planning to just keep rolling negative equity until I was probably $20,000 upside down. So by leasing this car, which I'm not a huge fan of leasing, but by leasing this car, I'm able to get out of this negative equity because at the end of this 36-month lease term, I'm completely done with the car, and I can turn it back into you guys, and I don't have to make payments on it anymore, and I can go buy a new car whether I want to lease or finance. That negative equity is no longer over my head, and I get a brand new car with no negative equity the next time around. Does that make sense?
Negative equity does not automatically mean that you need money down. So this is going to depend heavily on how much negative equity, what vehicle you're looking to buy, incentives and rates, and your credit and the lender approval. Some vehicles are going to lease and finance out better than others and absorb negative equity easier. So putting money down can help with lowering your payments or get an approval, but doesn't mean it's always going to be required.
Many of you forget that when you bought your vehicle that you're flipped in, that you also bought an aftermarket service contract or warranty. And why this is so important is because that's actually cancelable or refundable. So let me break it down for you. Let's say that you were spending $35,000 on your vehicle, and then you also opted in for $5,000 in warranty and gap. Now you owe $40,000 to the lender, and that's what the loan's for. Flash forward a couple years and you're going to trade your vehicle in, but you're not at the dealership where you bought your original vehicle and warranty, and they're only offering you, say, $25,000, and you're scratching your head as to why you still owe so much. What a lot of you forget is that that warranty you bought is still part of that total balance that you owe. Why is this so important? Well, typically these type products are cancelable or refundable, which means there's a cash value to them, and you need to simply either call the warranty company if you know it, or call the dealership where you bought the vehicle and ask to speak to the finance team. They can usually tell you what your warranty cash out is, and your gap can actually be cashed out as well. Now, are you going to get the whole 5,000 back? No, it's prorated. So it's really dependent on how many miles you've put on the vehicle and how many years you've owned it and didn't use the warranty. But regardless, sometimes some of you are really close to making a deal with a dealership and you had no clue that you had this aftermarket warranty as part of the balance. Now you know you can redeem for some of the cash value and get yourself out of hot water. If there's still a loan on your vehicle, you don't get the money physically to yourself. It's going to go to the financier. But if the loan is paid off, they will send a check directly to you.
Everybody says don't roll negative equity into a lease. But what if I told you it can actually help you get out of it? Here's how it works. If you're upside down right now, you're stuck paying on a car that's not worth what you owe. Now, if you roll that negative equity into a lease, yes, your payment might go up a little, but you're putting that debt on a short-term clock. Leases are usually 24 to 36 months, so instead of dragging that negative equity out 5 to 7 years, you're forcing it to get paid off faster. And when the lease is over, you're done with it. No trade-in, no rollover, it's a clean slate.
Here's how a smart customer gets out of negative equity. Are you driving a vehicle and you owe $20,000 and it's only worth $13,000? Unfortunately, that happens due to condition, mileage, and the market. Sometimes clients are like, man, I have that negative equity because I keep trading in cars. I don't put money down. I'm rolling the taxes and negative equity. I keep refinancing my problem, which happens. So I can tell customers all the time, they go, what do? I go, well, you better wash it, wax it, and fall back in love with it because you're going to be driving it for the 72 months. Or take that vehicle, find a new car that's got good rebates and lease it. Roll the negative equity over into the lease, finance it at affordable payment, and in 3 years, drop the keys off to that lease and walk away and you're clear. Then you're not stuck for 72 months paying for a car that's depreciating, losing value. This is a smart way to walk away and start fresh.
Do you need a brand new vehicle that you have $5,000 to $20,000 in negative equity? You don't have to stress out about that because I've just found 5 brand new vehicles that will completely absorb $5,000 to $20,000 in negative equity. The best part is at the end of your lease, you're completely done with your negative equity forever. Now let's get into it. The first one is the 2026 Hyundai Palisade calligraphy package, absorbing up to $12,000 in negative equity. The second one is the 2026 Infiniti QX60 Lux package, absorbing up to $13,500 in negative equity. Third one is the 2026 Toyota Sequoia Platinum package, absorbing up to $18,500 in negative equity. The fourth one is the 2026 Lexus NX 350 Hybrid Premium package, absorbing up to $11,500 in negative equity. The fifth one is the 2026 Cadillac Vista Sport package, absorbing up to $20,300 in negative equity. All 5 of these deals are on today's specials, incentives, and extremely negotiated by me. The only thing that would be due at signing on these lease deals to get out of this negative equity, tax, title, fees, depending on your location, roughly $0 to $2,000 down.
When you're trading a vehicle into a dealership, I always recommend you leave it as the last thing that you bring up. Don't let the salesperson or the sales manager discuss the value of your trade first. Why? Because when the salesperson or a sales manager puts a value in their trade, they can put whatever they want on the car and just inflate the price of the new car. So you want to establish the price of the new car that you're buying first. If you're bringing a trade-in to me and I know that you're a trade buyer, I can give you double the value for that trade-in, and all I got to do is inflate the price of the car you're buying from me to make up for that difference. So you should always leave the trade-in as the last thing that you negotiate. That way the price has already been set in stone, and now anything you get for your trade is coming off of that amount.
5 trade-in tips from somebody that used to be in car sales. If you have a trade-in, no, you don't. You're not going to tell them you have a car to trade in until after you've already worked out the numbers, have everything exactly where you want it on the new car you're buying. And then you're going to tell them, actually, I do think I'm going to trade in my car. And then it's going to be, okay, well, how much do you want for your trade-in? And you are not going to tell them. You're not going to give them a number. Because if you give them a number and this is your number, what if they were going to give you this much? Just because you said this number, they're going to give you that or even less. And then there's sales tax. So picture this. The car you're buying is $20,000. Your trade-in, you want $10,000 for it, but they say, I'm only giving you $9,000. You're going to be like, what are you talking about? This is $1,000 less than what I asked for. So now they're going to look at the sales tax situation. You were initially going to pay, let's say 10% on $20,000 in sales tax, would have been $2,000. Now they're giving you that $9,000 trade-in credit, so your total cost is only $11,000 now. Now you're only paying 10% on $11,000, which is going to be roughly $1,100. And then they're going to be like, okay, look, you're saving $900 in sales tax. So it's basically like we're giving you $9,900, which is literally only $100 less than what you're asking for. That's the most that we can do. Regardless of how much they were going to give you for your trade, even if it was $10,000, 11, 12, you're going to be getting that deduction in sales tax anyways, because you don't have to pay sales tax on the full value of the car when you're paying less with a trade-in. Does that make sense? When they go out to look at your trade-in, just don't go with them. Just stay inside. What they want you to do is they want you to come out there with them so they can silently walk around the car and they can like poke around at dents and stuff to get you to tell on yourself. Like, oh, that's when my brother like hit a baseball into my car, and then you're telling on yourself that there's damage that you acknowledge. They want to get you to realize, oh, maybe my car actually isn't worth as much as what I think it's worth, so that they can lowball you. They're also going to tell you that you can't get extra money for your trade because of like upgrades, like a lift kit or a tow hitch or things that like you added after you bought the car. And like that's true to an extent. They can't factor that into the value like that they use for the vehicle itself. But you can use that as a bargaining point because they're definitely, when they list that car and when they make the price for that car, they are factoring those things into it. In the listing, they're going to put all-weather mats, even though they didn't want to give you more money for your all-weather mats. And if they won't give you more money, then take those mats with you. Don't let them have them.
So, should you fix your car before trading it in? Honestly, it really depends on the repair. Small cosmetic things usually don't change the value much, but if it's something major like engine or transmission issues, probably worth asking first before spending the money. Sometimes it makes more sense to just trade as is.
I'm looking to trade my car in, but I still owe money on it.
That's super easy. Listen, we deal with that all the time.
But what happens to the payoff of my car?
Listen, there's a couple things that can happen. One, your car is going to get paid off if you trade it in, if there's a payoff on it, but it's going to be done in one of two ways. One, either your car is worth more than what the payoff on it is, and that equity in your car pays that off, or number two is your car is worth less than what you owe on it, and that additional negative equity that you're now having on that car, it's going to roll into your new loan, and because that's rolling into your new loan, that money's then used to pay off your last loan.
Okay, that makes sense, but what if I don't want to roll it into my next car?
Well, that's super easy. So let's just say that you owe $12,000 and your car is worth $10,000. You'd have $2,000 worth of rollover into the next car. The easiest way to get rid of that so that you're not rolling it into the next car is put at least $2,000 down. That covers that remainder, and now you're just back to the balance of the original car.
So if I trade my car, regardless, it gets paid off. But if I put more money down, it's going to be better for me?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
So there's a reason the salesperson at the dealership just asked about your trade-in, and how you answer that question can make or break all of the leverage you have in the negotiations. Now, when you walk into a dealership, and you shouldn't be doing that in the first place, if you want to know why, check out my page. One of the first things that they're going to ask you is, so do you have anything to trade in today? It sounds casual, it feels really helpful, but the question is actually pretty strategic. Now, if you find this video helpful, make sure you send it to a friend, like, share, or save it, because it could help your friends save thousands of dollars or yourself, and we could all use a little help doing that today. Here's what's actually happening with this conversation. Dealers make more money when they can bundle your trade-in and your new car into one big negotiation. Because when everything is on the table at once, they can give with one hand, take with the other hand. Think of it kind of like a seesaw. They bump your trade-in value by $1,500, you feel great. Meanwhile, they've held firm on the new car price and you never even noticed, when in fact the extra $1,500 is still just an okay value for your trade-in anyway. The numbers look good on the surface, but the deal overall got worse, and you probably left some money on the table. This is called mixing the deals, and it's one of the oldest moves in the playbook, and it really just kind of muddies the waters. So here's what you do. When they ask about a trade-in, all you have to say is, I may have a trade-in, but I really just want to focus on the purchased vehicle right now. We could talk about the trade-in later. So just saying that separates the two transactions. Now you can negotiate the new car on its own merits, like market conditions, dealer incentives, any rebates that you can qualify for, all without the trade clouding the numbers. Once you've locked in the best possible price on the new car, then you bring in the trade. And before you even walk in, get competing offers on your trade. CarMax, Carvana, local dealerships. A lot of dealerships will tell you that they won't do appraisals over the phone, but I promise you they will. Send good pictures, give a really accurate history, and most of them will do over the phone appraisals. Once you have a few offers, then you can bring those offers to your dealership, and I have a whole video on how to do that. But once you have those offers, bring them to your dealership so that they can beat the numbers. And if they can't beat the numbers, then just sell the car to CarMax.
Today, I'm going to show all of you how to get the best trade number from the dealership right from the comfort of your living room and not let them play any of the usual games. Stay tuned. If you're new to my channel, my name's Bill. I'm a car buying expert and I love saving you money at the dealership. Do yourself a favor and find out what your vehicle's really worth. You need to check the market on your vehicle. What is the trade value of your vehicle to other legitimate professional people that do this for a living? Well, there's no better place to check this than CarMax and Carvana. They give really aggressive, fair offers, and it gives you an idea, an indication of what your vehicle's worth. That way, if the dealership comes back with a lowball offer, you have something in writing to say, no, I don't think that's going to work. If you watch me, you already know that I don't think there's any benefit to going to the dealership until everything has been negotiated, and that includes your trade-in value. So the first thing you're going to do is call the dealerships that have the vehicles that you're interested in and ask them for an out-the-door price. Once you get this price in writing, negotiate it. Do not tell them about your trade. Do not tell them about how you're financing. Don't tell them about your down payment, because none of that's really relevant. If you can't agree on the price of their vehicle, why are you giving them all that potential ammunition? Once you've negotiated the best price with one of the dealerships, then simply tell them about your trade. Let them know, you know what? I think I will trade my vehicle in. Then send them over the VIN, the mileage, and pictures of your vehicle showing the tire tread, the windshield, any condition issues. That way they can give you an accurate number. Not only will the dealership just try and give you a low ball offer to see if you know what your vehicle's worth and potentially make a ton more money off of you, but most times they're going to try and use your tax savings. If you live in a state where you get a tax credit, a tax benefit for trading in and buying at the same place, then you're going to have the dealership almost inevitably offer you a little less than what they should be offering you and try and use your tax savings as part of the value they're giving you. This is hogwash. You should definitely be getting the full trade value for your vehicle plus the tax saving. They're considering it part of the allowance because it's part of the value, but they're trying to use it in their favor. Let me show you an example of exactly what I'm talking about for a deal I just did in Arizona. As you can see, the dealership originally was offering me $16,000 for this trade. And conveniently, if you add the tax credit, the tax savings that I'm getting, which you can see they put right here, it adds up to what they should be offering me for the trade without the tax savings. So essentially, they're just trying to steal that from me. Coincidentally, this dealership tried to offer me 14 at first, just to see what I would say. I went back and forth with this dealership on several text messages, showing them the values that everybody else is offering me. And of course, they reluctantly stepped their number up. They just kept saying to me, we need to see it in person to really establish a value, which is complete and total bullshit. They do not need to see it in person, just like CarMax didn't need to see it in person. Carvana didn't need to see it in person. Provided I'm not lying, you should be able to give me an accurate appraisal right over the phone. So now in a matter of a couple hours, I have negotiated the price of their vehicle as low as they're willing to go, got the best trade value, and now it's time to finance. So I simply go on the website of the dealership, fill out the finance application, let my salesperson know that I did, and say, hey, here's my pre-approval rate. Can you beat it? If you can beat it, I'll use your financing. If you can't, I'll just bring a check with me to pick up my vehicle. That locks in the price of the vehicle and the negotiation you just had, and it makes sure they don't play any games with the interest rate when you get to the dealership. Used cars are hard to find, auction prices are high, and used car prices are up. So not a great time to buy a used vehicle, but a great time to trade yours in and argue for the higher price.
If you're interested in buying a new car and you have a trade-in vehicle, there's a couple things that you should do to set yourself up for success and a couple mistakes that you might make along the way. So I want to tell you exactly how to do that. And first of all, it's getting pre-approved. I have a pro tip for you at the end. I'm going to walk you through a couple different strategies here, but make sure you stick around to figure out that pro tip. But if you don't have to think about any of this yourself and come up with these strategies yourself, I run a car buying service with my brother Rob. It's called Auto Compass. If you want the easiest possible car buying experience, check out the website in my bio because that's exactly what we do. Let me start by saying that selling your car to the dealership that you're purchasing your new car from is almost always going to be more beneficial for you as the buyer than if you were to sell your car on like Facebook or to CarMax or something. But there's some caveats to this. So CarMax is great and it can be a very useful tool in getting the best value for your vehicle. What you should start doing before you ever even call a dealership about a car you're interested in is go to CarMax with your car or Carvana, for example, and then have them do an in-person appraisal. They're not going to negotiate with you. They're going to tell you this is the price and that's it. That price is good for 30 days. So make sure you're ready to start making moves on your purchase vehicle when you do this appraisal. Now, after you've negotiated your purchased vehicle, the one that you're interested in buying, that's when you bring up your trade-in vehicle. You don't want to do it too early in the process because it's just going to muddy the waters and complicate things. So after you're done negotiating your new car purchase, that's when you're going to bring up the trade-in. You don't want to do it too early in the process because it kind of just muddies the waters, makes things more complicated than it needs to be, and you kind of give the dealership more power in that case. So what you want to do is, without ever going into the dealership, take some detailed pictures, tell them the mileage, tell them how the tire condition, the brake condition, and then tell them that you want to know what they're going to offer you for the car, with the caveat that it still needs to be inspected in person. You want to be honest with them. Don't try to hide any like rips in the seats or huge scratches or dents or anything, because it's not going to help anybody. But you don't want to tell them that you were pre-appraised. Now, the reason you don't want to tell them that you got a pre-appraisal on the trade-in is because if CarMax offered you $11,500, they might offer you $13,000 for the car. But if you tell them that they offered $11,500, they're going to say, okay, well, we can match CarMax. That's not really going to help you. What I will say is that if they are going to match or even be a little bit under what CarMax is offering, it's still advantageous to go with the dealership in that case, because you're getting a little bit of tax savings by selling the car to the same dealership you're purchasing from. It's going to lower the amount of tax that you pay in your purchase vehicle. Now, pro tip here at the end, you should do this with more than just CarMax. Before you start calling the dealership about that you want to purchase a car from, call a bunch of other dealerships that you tell them that you want to sell your car to them and get them competing on offers for your car. Then when you're finally bringing up the trade-in with the dealership you're purchasing from, you now have multiple offers that you can leverage against their offer.
I'm going to teach you exactly how to negotiate a lease. This is actually the most common question I get every single day. But if I do tell you this information, then you have to tell other people that you follow Corey Creates Deals. Now let's start with the thing you cannot negotiate, and that's called residual value. What is residual value? I have a whole video breaking it down, but long story short, it's what the bank thinks the vehicle is going to be worth that you're leasing at the end of the lease. Bank determines this residual value by three things, which is the vehicle you choose to lease, how many miles you're going to drive during the lease, and how long you're going to lease that vehicle for. For example, the vehicle's going to be worth less if you do 15,000 miles a year for 4 years, because that means at the end of your lease, it's a 4-year-old vehicle with at least 60,000 miles versus a 2-year lease at 7,500 miles a year. That means in 2 years, it's a 2-year-old vehicle with only 15,000 miles. This is non-negotiable. This is set by the manufacturer or the bank that's going to be leasing the vehicle to you. And again, if that gets too confusing, I have a whole video on residual value. Now let's talk about the 3 different things you can really negotiate on a lease deal. The first one is the price of the vehicle. People think it's just a one set price and there's all this funky math. No, you can still negotiate the price of the vehicle. Second thing is going to be hidden fees or added packages in the deal structure. These are things added by the dealership to your deal structure, saying that you either get an extra benefit or this is the cost you have to pay for doing business with them. These fees, for the most part, can be completely removed or they're very negotiable. Third thing is money factor, which is a fancier word for interest rate. Money factor, you would get that from the manufacturer or bank you're going to lease it with. There's going to be a base rate, and what that is, it's like a 0.00 whatever. It's got a long decimal. You just take that decimal and multiply it by 2,400. That's going to give you your interest rate. The dealership can mark this interest rate up by 1, 2, even 3 points, which will cost you thousands of dollars. So once you've prepared yourself on what vehicle you're going to lease, done your research, and you show up to the dealership, you're going to ask for a full buyer's guide from top to bottom, showing your price, any add-ons or hidden fees, and what the money factor is. You're going to negotiate that price. You're going to make sure they remove and negotiate down all those hidden fees and added packages. You're going to make sure you get the base rate that the manufacturer is advertising for that vehicle for you for your credit tier. When you show up to the dealership knowing exactly how to negotiate a lease, the dealership respects you a lot more, and they make things as easy as they can for you because they know they can't get over on you and they want you to lease their vehicle.
There is one phrase that every car dealership, every car salesman, every finance guy, every dealership sales manager hates hearing from the customers. There's one phrase that's going to save you guys money every time you use it on every aspect of the deal. Today, I'm going to tell you exactly what that phrase is and how to use it correctly. Stay tuned. If you're new to my channel, my name's Bill. I'm a car buying expert and I love saving you money at the dealership. Guys, it's super simple. Let me think about it. I have to think about it. You know what? That's a good deal, but let me think on it. Let me sleep on it. You know what? The trade number seems okay, but it does seem a little low. Let me think about it. I'm going to go home and think about it. I'm going to call you tomorrow after I think about it. You know what? The interest rate does seem kind of high. Let me think about it. I think I'm going to call a few other lending institutions and think about it and see if they can't get me a better rate. That warranty seems really, really high priced. let me think about it. Can I come back after we do the sale and possibly buy it from you later? I'm not going to buy it right now. Not at that price. Basically, what we're doing by doing this is letting them know, I know that I have options, so I can leave here and go to your competitor and get the same, if not better deal. So make it worth my while. That's what you're saying when you're saying, I don't know, I have to think about it. I don't trust you. I don't think this is as good a deal as you can give me. Even if you saying I have to think about it only results in you getting $500 off the price, $500 more for your trade, maybe a point lower on the interest, $1,000 off the warranty, it's gonna save you money. And the dealership almost always will come down or up, whatever they have to do to make the deal work if you use those words, I have to think about it. Obviously, if you're getting a great deal already from the dealership, you like their out the door price, your trade numbers are fair, the interest rate is fair, there's no reason to look a gift horse in the mouth. Just accept the offer and say thank you. But for those of you who are a novice or are pretty sure that this isn't a great deal and you don't know how to go about negotiating, this is a great technique to get the deal you want without coming off aggressive or getting into a battle with the dealership.